Four games, one story. The story about a little kid who was a victim of a cruel joke of his older brother and his friends. He is in a coma and he lies in a hospital, but he is still alive and scared. And now his mangled mind creates dreams for him, dreams that look like nightmares. Hello there fellas, you can call me Jackie Chan today, because I'm about to knock you down by my theory. Haha, get it, because Jackie Chan, he knocks people down sometimes. Never mind. All four games tell us a story, as Scott said, the story about a crying child. And I have many and a little another many facts to prove that everything from the first to the fourth game are dreams. Are you already writing a comment that I am wrong and going to close the video? Kitty asks you not to do that, because Scott expected everyone to disagree with this theory, and he wrote: I am afraid that when people will find out the story, they won't agree with that. It's exactly how community reacts to this theory. I thought the same. But enough of words, take a tea, some candies, and let me tell you my theory of everything in FNAF. First of all, let's inspect FNAF 4. As Scott has proved, the actual gameplay happens in the nightmares of the crying child, who sees the nightmare animatronics that are in fact unreal. It's a very important part, because it proves that the child can create a monster in his mind and put it in his dream. You would say, hey, is everything in FNAF is a dream? No, the real things are the house from FNAF 4 and the minigames from FNAF 4. The minigames are the most important part, because it connects all the four games into one story. They tell us what exactly happened. By the way, it's a time to tell you what really happened. Not so long ago, Scott, the author of the game, gave us the final piece of evidence. What is seen in shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. The main character not just had an imaginary friend Fredbear, but he also saw shadows in a hall. He thought that they are real animatronics and told about that to his brother, who just laughed at him. He afraid of every shadow. And he started to mock him. He jump scared him from the TV, from under the bed, douchebag. And eventually they made a deadly joke. They have put a child into the mouth of Fredbear. Tears of the child caused the spring lock failure, and the jaw has collapsed. The child survived, but he got to reanimation, where he sees the creepy dreams. As we find out later, he has lost his frontal lobe, but he hasn't lost his ability to fear. Let's ask Daddy Google, which part of a brain responsible for fear? Okay, amygdala, and where is it located in the brain? Well, yeah, that's definitely isn't a frontal lobe. Also, let me explain the animatronics. In the real world, they are just a part of a TV show. The name of the TV show is Fredbear and Friends. Based on this cartoon, a restaurant is also created. Also, based on this cartoon, the masks are made. In the real world, there are no animatronics moving by themselves with a crazy eye. Also, there are no laptops, because all those things haven't been invented in the year 1987. Their existence is just impossible. They were just a cartoon and some suit animatronics which could do the simplest movements as head movement. Also, human could climb into a suit. But why the crying child sees such nightmares? That's a right question, me. I am glad that you have asked it. When the main character goes to his home, he meets a strange girl who tells him that animatronics come to life at night, and when they catch you, they put you into a costume, and nobody will ever find you. What a coincidence! The first game is all about that. The restaurant from FNAF 1 by itself looks nightmarish. No windows, no exits, spiderwebs are everywhere, which shows that the place is abandoned for a long time. But then, why is there a night guard? In FNAF 1 we hear a periodic laughter. Did you mention that it's very similar to the laughter from FNAF 4? The laugh of the brother laughing at him, which the main character hears even in his dreams and nightmares. Now the phone guy, who do you think talks with the main character in his dreams? A little hint for you, his father. Do you remember the photos from the house of the main character? There we can see his brother, himself and their father. But we know for sure these photos are the photos of Scott and his kids. Who do you think voiced the phone guy? Give me a drum roll. This is also Scott. It's funny, but I don't think that it's just a coincidence. Scott has added himself in the game. Also, he said that every Easter egg in the game isn't just random. It turns out that the father talks with the child in his nightmares, helping him to survive his horror. In FNAF 1, the player hears about the bite of 87 at the first time. Am I right? Why would child create this in his nightmare? The answer is he didn't imagine it. The bite of 87 is the event which we see in FNAF 4. I think many of you have noticed that when you sleep and some noise happens in your room, then your mind implements the sound into the dream. Almost the same thing happened with the child. Doctors near of the child were talking about this kid and his damaged frontal lobe. This was implemented into the dream. Now the names of the guards, Mike Schmidt and Fritz Fitzgerald, etc. The child has heard them in the pizzeria or in hospital, so his brain has put these names into the dreams. At FNAF 1 you always have to keep an eye on Foxy, and if you will not, then Foxy just jump scare you from the corner. By the same way, brother jump scared you from a TV, and he had a Foxy mask on him. Also, Foxy don't kill you, it just jump scares you, just like your brother. Our favorite fan and phone are based on a fan and phone from the main character's room. A story about killed children in the newspaper. Did you notice that in FNAF 2, 2 children promised to come to the party but didn't come? Now, could you please remind me how many children, according to the newspaper, were killed at first? The answer is 2. The main character who was beaten at the birthday imagined that they died. That's why there is an article about their death in the newspaper from FNAF 1. Other victims mentioned in the newspaper are the brother and his friends. Now, let's talk about It's Me. The main character sees it because he is a creator of all of this. It all happens in his mind. He's like, it's me created all of this, it's me an architect of this little matrix. I have machines, but I don't have Mr. Smith and Neo. And here we come to the character who was hiding his true identity like Peter goddammit Parker, Golden Freddy. Who is he? Is he an imaginary friend Fredbear? Is he the crying child? Is he the brother? Is he the pizza guy Josh? What? To find out his true identity, let's inspect the FNAF 3 minigame, the good one. The puppet has brought a cake to the crying child, a subtle hint, which puts on a mask of, who would you think? Golden Freddy. Let's suppose, just suppose, that Golden Freddy is an imaginary friend Fredbear, then Puppet is the crying child. Then the whole story just makes no sense at all. It's not Fredbear who lost his birthday. Why would the crying child take cake to him? No, the real identity of Golden Freddy is the crying child, the main character. It's a reason of Golden Freddy is so damaged. Remember that the main character is also broken. Also, that's a reason of Golden Freddy always saying it's me, because it's truly he. He is the main character. But if the crying child plays the role of the guard and Golden Freddy is also a child, why does he attack himself in the game? Well, let me remind you that it's a nightmare where child is a night guard, but this nightmare also contains a character which represents fears of the child. What is the biggest fear of the child? Fredbear. It also explains why Golden Freddy looks so similar to Fredbear. So it's a creepy dream where the crying child is a night guard that is being attacked by creepy robots, but also this dream contains a personification of the soul and fears of the child, Golden Freddy, who also attacks. I hope you understood what I just said. Phew, are you still with me? Gosh, it was only a first part of the game, that's why I love Five Nights at Freddy's. Its story is so complicated but still interesting. Let's dig deeper to FNAF 2. Now pizzeria has no spider webs all over the place, but it's abandoned for a while. Also, there was a birthday party not so long ago. But this place still has no exits or windows, just like the FNAF 1 place. An important clarification, FNAF 1 happens in 1983, FNAF 2 happens in 1987. Is it clear? Well, I hope so. Here, in 1987, the player sees dreams. Yeah, we see a dream in a dream, suck it Inception! In which he meets animatronics which will be created only in 1983. But how is it possible? Also, we're not talking about the Back and Future film where you can go forward in time, see the animatronics and go back after that. Also, these animatronics are not withered animatronics before they were damaged, because they have different sizes and other differences. They just can't can't be the same, at least in real world. Okay, maybe these animatronics aren't the old animatronics, but some other line of animatronics. Also no, because Fungi says that the company is almost a bankrupt, so if these animatronics existed, then the company would use them in the FNAF 2 restaurant. But the company didn't use them, which means that they didn't exist at the moment. But why the player saw them then? In the real world you most likely can't see a future, but if all of this is a dream, then yeah, you can. Did you wonder why the toy animatronics are called toy animatronics? FNAF 4 gives us an answer on this question. Toy animatronics has appeared because the main character sees a girl with toys, which are extremely similar to the toy animatronics. And here we come to the next hint from Master Scott. On his teaser he said, "In the FNAF 4 minigame, why would the tiny toy Chica be missing her beak?" The crying child remembered Toy Chica without a beak, that's why in his nightmares it has no beak most of the time. Take that, he who must be not named. The lack of nose is not only your feature now. That's why toy animatronics are called toy animatronics, and also that's why Toy Chica is thin while other Chicas were fat. The next question is, how did children disassemble Mango? It's a still animatronic, it's impossible for the child to disassemble it. Also, based on Fungi's words, it was not planned to make this animatronic take apart and put together attraction. It means that this animatronic wasn't created in a special way for children. But then, how they could disassemble it? It's just physically impossible. Well, it's impossible in the real world, but not in a dream. It is disassembled because the crying child had a toy Foxy in his house. Disassembled toy Foxy. And it has been implemented in his dream. Let me remind you that FNAF 2, just like FNAF 3 and FNAF 1, are dreams. Oh yeah, the guy with balloon is Balloon Boy. Now let me tell you where did Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy come from. What is hidden in the shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. The child has seen shadows in the restaurant and he thought that they are real. Even his imaginary friend tells him, you have to get past them. He tells it when the player sees shadows, not the real ones. The child remembers them as real, that's how he sees them in his nightmare, ghosty but real animatronics. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. Okay, but who is the puppet then? What do we know about it? It can teleport, it has white dots, it can give lives, and it cares about the crying child, who appears to be Golden Freddy. Who cares about the crying child in the real world? His friend Fredbear. Also, he can teleport, he has white dots, and in the last FNAF 4 minigame he promises to take together the crying child just like the puppets. By the way, notice that in every minigame he has one color, but in the last minigame his color becomes more white. White is the color of the puppets. All these facts show us that imaginary friend Fredbear is the only one candidate to the role of the puppet in this dream. Now our favorite purple guy and his murders. In the restaurant the crying child saw the purple guy, and he saw him not at the first time. He's just a usual worker in the pizzeria who puts on a costume on a man. He's just doing his job, he isn't a killer. But as Scott has said, what is hidden in the shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. Note that purple guy stays in the darkness. Because of things that girl has told him, the crying child assumed that the purple guy has killed a person and he's hiding his body into a costume. That's why in the nightmares he is a killer. By the way, pink guy is a purple guy but younger, that's why they are different. And that's why in FNAF 3 he became even more purple, he just became older. And now it's a time for a little family drama. Do you remember what the Fungi, who is the father of the main character, told us about Foxy? That he always was his favorite. And who usually wears a Foxy mask? The brother. In other words, father has said that the brother, not the main character, always was his favorite child. The story becomes sad. But it's just the peak of an iceberg. Talking about Foxy, he and the puppet aren't fooled by the mask trick. And the reasons of this are never explained to us, but now we understand that it's because the brother was always wearing a mask too. That's why this trick doesn't work with him. Let me remind you that Foxy represents the brother. That's why Foxy is always so unique. The bite of 87 is real, and we see it in FNAF 4. In FNAF 1 and FNAF 2 we just hear the representation of events that took place in reality, which were discussed by doctors nearby. Boom, we have passed another part of the game, FNAF 2. How does it feel? Personally, I think it explains many things. Now we go to the FNAF 3, and right away, why do the phantom animatronics look burned, despite the fact that this place will be burned down only at the night 6? The answer is that the main character, just like in FNAF 2, sees a future. It's possible because it's a future in his dream. Have you noticed that the Phantom Mango breaks the sound system of the player? But how is it possible if phantoms are just hallucinations? Well, do you remember that Mango lies in his house? Because of that, Mango is much more real for him than the other animatronics. According to the story of the dream, the purple guy has already killed the brother and his friends. That's why Phantom Foxy is just a hallucination, unlike Mango. Also, the theory explains why the puppet is real in FNAF 3. It's his best friend, Fredbear. In the FNAF 4 minigame, the main character talks with a girl about her plushie. She calls it Finger Trap. Also, she says that Finger can be trapped in this plushie, just like Purple Guy in Springtrap. Plush Trap looks very similar to Springtrap, and isn't that ironical that the Purple Guy who was hiding as the crying child thought the body into a bodysuit has been trapped in exactly the same suit? It's too ironical to be just a coincidence, especially considering the fact that in the real world the purple guy is taller than this suit and he couldn't get into it, but in the dream in FNAF 3 he did it and died. Wah, wah, wah. The good and bad endings are extremely interesting in this theory. The bad ending: if the child, who is also a player, doesn't forgive the brother and his friends and not passes a sequence of minigames, then their souls are trapped in the suits forever, but only in his dreams, of course. The good ending: if he forgives them and makes an effort to pass all the minigames, then he gets a birthday party he dreamed about. He gets the most happiest day. That's what we see in the final FNAF 3 minigame. A crying child with the mask of Golden Freddy is the main character. And his imaginary friend Fredbear, represented by the puppet, has brought him a cake. The child forgives the brother and his friends, and they all go into the better world. But that's only in a dream. Shadow Freddy, Shadow Bonnie, fan the events I've explained in this video earlier. In FNAF 4 he again sees the animatronics, but now they are at his house. Notice that animatronics are becoming more scary with every new game. We see the progression of the fears of the main character. Yes, all the events in the real world are connected with the events from the 4 games, which are the dreams. Let me clarify that the FNAF 4 minigames are the real world. The events in them really happened. The child has been beaten and he survived a bite. He got into a hospital and there he was seeing the nightmares from FNAF 1 to FNAF 4. And at the end of FNAF 4 we see his last dream. He hears the regrets of his brother. Then his imaginary friend Fredbear promises him to put him back together, just like he did with the animatronics while he was the puppet in the dreams of the child. That's why his color becomes more white. He shows that he is the puppet. He promises to revive the child, but that won't happen, because all of this was just a big, long dream. The dream of the dying child. And Fredbear is unable to help him, because the whole story, all the characters and Fredbear itself are not real. And the child dies at the end. 4 games, 1 story, and only 1 victim, the crying child. But wait, what is in the box then? As Scott has said, it's all the pieces put together, and I suggest that there is a newspaper or something like this were written. Because of tragic accident, a child was damaged in the jaws of Fredbear, an animatronic from a famous restaurant that built based on the cartoon. His frontal lobe is damaged and he was in a coma for a while, but in the end he died. Doctors are calling this event the bite of 87. And somewhere at the newspaper there is a date, the year 1987. But hey, that's just a theory. Hey! Hi! Click the button on the bottom, or I will come and bite you. Ah! Scary? Okay, you're safe for today. Bye bye!